Welcome to the channel, my friend. It is July 18th, and it is time.
It is time for some stoicism. Very nice.
Okay. July 18th. Each the master of their own domain.
Say that again?
Each the master of their own domain.
Each?
Yeah, like each person is the master of their own domain.
Ah, okay. Okay, cool.
Let's decode it. Marcus Aurelius says, "My reasoned choice is as indifferent to the reasoned choice of my neighbor as to his breath and body. However much we've been made for cooperation, the ruling reason in each of us is master of its own affairs. If this weren't the case, the evil in someone else could become my harm. God didn't mean for someone else to control my misfortune."
Do you understand it?
I think so.
Okay.
My reasoned choice, I think that he's referring to like the part of us that decides
Mm-hmm.
is as indifferent to the part of someone else that decides as their breath and body.
Mm-hmm.
However much we've been made for cooperation, the ruling reason in each of us is master of its own affairs. So like my mind and body is responsible for itself, and somebody else's mind and body is responsible for itself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what this isn't pointing out is that these two selves plug into an overarching reality, but he's getting at like my human form.
Mm-hmm. My human form, my seemingly looks different from the other human forms.
And not only that, like
From the
it is-
perspective of a human form, maybe. You know what I mean?
from the perspective of a human form.
Yeah. From a perspective of a human, humans are different. But from a higher
Sure.
perspective, humans are the same.
Sure.
Yeah.
So this is from the perspective of humans are different,
Yes, yes.
because he's saying like what's in my body to decide is totally separate from like what's in somebody else's body to decide. If that weren't the case, then like the evil in someone else could become my harm, and God didn't mean for someone else to control my misfortune.
Right.
So he's saying like other people don't have the ability to control.
Like God didn't design this system in the way that others' internal hurt can hurt us.
Yeah.
Now it seemed like it can, because we are a lot of times hurt by other people going through their hurtful things, and it's not necessarily like it's not empathy to pick up somebody else's burden, right? And so we do find ourselves in those situations where it actually does transfer.
That not only that,
Yeah.
but sometimes there's physical actions where like somebody might hurt you or kill you
Sure,
or something,
sure.
and so that's a hard thing to stomach, you know, that like ultimately I am responsible for myself in each moment.
Yeah.
But that's a good way of being too, because if somebody is working against me being really secure in my understanding that I'm responsible for myself allows me to be like very assertive and like quick on my feet.
Yeah, actually be the right opponent to that thing.
Yeah.
Because if we do it the other way, we say like, oh, I do believe that I am less than or something, or
I deserve this, or
I
they're
deserve
more
it, or
powerful
they're
than
more-
me,
yeah,
and
any
they
of
can
those.
do this to
Yeah.
me. Yeah, there's a ton of psychology that underscores I'm not close enough to like a lot of the pain that people are feeling, but I know for myself, like there were reasons why I was in abusive situations there were some abusive situations like when I was a kid and like growing up with a parent, like there was some of that I couldn't control, but there was a lot of abusive situations that I could have controlled, but I didn't because my mindset in those situations was so weirdly constructed.
Or maybe I can't do anything about this.
Yeah.
Type of a mind structure.
Yeah. Even though I had, and this is true across my whole life, I've always had more control than I have thought I have had. And where that extra energy went, when it's like, well, I should have the energy to control the things I'm in control of. Well, I'm not doing that. So where is the energy? The energy is on wishing that I can control everything else. Wishing I could control other people, wishing I can control situations or events. And I just sort of leak out
like
my energy.
It's like a wishful thinking, actually.
Yeah.
It's a wishful thinking. Like you wish that it's not wishful thinking in the way I wish for something that's possible. You're actually a wishful thinking something that's not possible. But we keep going back to that thinking and that wishfulness of that. Even though we have these conversations, so in theory we have this information in our system that it's supposed to be not like that, but we don't know how to like trigger it or activate it or something.
But I would say this knowledge has been fairly new to me in the last decade or so, and particularly the last several years.
And these things take time to.
Because when I was a kid, there was just there was no knowledge of this. Like, I just wasn't lucky or unlucky. I don't know what to call it, but like it just never happened that somebody explained this whole thing to me when I was
if you
like
say lucky or unlucky, you would be essentially labeling and judging it.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I said lucky or unlucky. I'm trying to paint that I'm trying to not do that. Like it's, it's whatever it was, but the fact remains like nobody came and explained any of this to me until much later. So I just thought that the way my mindset was like everybody has this mindset and this is a normal mindset and this is the mindset that's going to take me through the rest of my life. That's what it just seemed like. Right. I wasn't consciously thinking about that, but like that is what it was like. We didn't grow up in the growth mindset era. We grew up in the fixed.
Set it and forget it.
Yeah. If you love
set it in high school and forget it for the rest of your life.
Like I had heard adults on many occasions when I was growing up say things like, if you loved me, you would accept me the way I am. But the way they are is like yelling and screaming and being out of control, And so like, this is just the way I am. Somebody would say that to, hey, like you need to cool it.
It is the way it is, and you must be the one. So they wanted to change their outside by doing that. So do you see how cool that is? Like if you put yourself in their shoes and they say, I know everything and you need to change, you ultimately have the same situation, right? Like it's almost like you don't want to do that while you actually are doing it because it was learned that way, from these examples.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying like it just seems so normal. Like everybody has these mindsets because I did sponge it from some examples, from some modeling.
Yeah. Some modeling, and then you modeled it back, and it wasn't corrected, or you know what I mean, or whatever.
If they didn't have the awareness to change themselves, how would they help me?
Help you, right.
I mean, and this is where the relationships got really shitty. Was like because if my mom is like that too, then like there's a lot of name calling in our house, and so like she would get mad at me and start calling me names, and I don't know if this was like, I need to teach her a lesson or something, or like she thought maybe I was gonna hear her call me irresponsible or a bitch or a brat or spoiled or whatever they were, and then I would just be like, oh my god, I need to change. I need to You know what I mean? Like, I don't know exactly what she was just upset in those moments.
Yeah, and she didn't know how to deal with it, and so she put her blame on the outside world, aka you. Yeah.
And so so of course I just think that it's normal and I don't question it, and yeah.
Good one. That's a good one.
Yeah. You want to read Ryan?
Yeah, let's do it.
Ryan says, the foundation of a free country is that your freedom to swing your fist ends where someone else's nose begins. That is, someone else is free to do what they like until it interferes with your physical body and space. This saying can work as a great personal philosophy as well. But living that way will require two important assumptions. First, you ought to live your own life in such a way that it doesn't negatively impose on others. Second, you have to be open-minded and accepting enough to let others do the same. Can you do that? Even when you really, really disagree with the choices they're making? Can you understand that their life is their business and yours is your own? And that you've got plenty to wrestle with yourself without bothering anyone else?
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. How's that feel? How's that sit with you?
I like it. Yeah, their life is their business and yours is your own.
Yeah.
And I have been feeling it recently, even in my thinking, like when my thoughts will wander into like somebody else's business, that's kind of like lost a lot of appeal.
Mm-hmm.
There's sometimes when I'm emotional and then my brain is just thinking about other people's business because like it's emotional and like that's, you know, it's like when you're at the gym and you're tired and now your form goes to shit. I feel like emotional. It's like there's too much in the system. I'm tired and my form
and maybe
goes
you're
to
going
shit.
into those things because you want to understand it, but I can also see it like you have a good reason to go think about those other people and those other how they view things, because you say to yourself, well, I want to understand it, and when I understand it, that's what will calm me down. You wanting to understand that you are in their business and trying to, you know what I mean, it's almost like I like to understand it, but I don't want to understand it by me inventing understandings in here. I want to understand it from just like maybe interaction with that person which I don't understand or something. Like, let's have more of those interactions so we do actually understand it. But we understand it from them, not from our own imagination.
Sure.
Anything else?
There is something, but
take your time.
Yeah. This like whole thing of like where I spend my mental energy, and like there's been a lot of times where I've just sort of let it leak out, like I wasn't focusing my energy on any like specific area. And I think right now like I'm immersed in like two pretty big projects, like my day job and then yoga, and like that feels like my business to me, like squarely my business of like, here are the people I'm interacting with, here's the responsibilities on my plate, here's the stuff I have to move forward, here's the problems I need to figure out, I need to engage with all this stuff. And anything kind of like now me thinking about somebody else's life or somebody else's problems or how somebody else is an asshole or like any of this stuff feels like just a total distraction from like, well, I don't have extra energy
to think about your stuff and me inventing things in my head.
I need that for my own shit. And if, as long as it's over there, it's not in my own shit, and then I'm resentful that my
So
own
now-
shit isn't getting done.
Right, and and so everybody has their own projects, right, or work or whatever that is that they have to attend to. But there was something you said like I have, yeah, like sometimes it feels like people don't have that they don't have their shit, or they don't have their projects, but they do, but they're so submerged in the other people businesses that their own focus on their own what is my thing is completely lost.
It's grown dim. It's like a flame that is like really dim.
It's always there, but you have to reignite it.
You have to clear out some of the attention. You have to extract the attention away from other people's shit. And now all of a sudden that flame starts to come up, and it's like, oh yeah, I really do like watercolor.
But I don't think that flame starts by saying I'm gonna stay away from other people's business, because that's like a task, that's like a hard thing to do, right? Going back to that identity, it's like, no, I want to be a person who has their one or two projects, and I want to be focusing on those two things. And if that mindset, this identity kind of takes place, this of focusing on other people's crap is you stop doing it, and that's a result of you.
It loses its appeal, so you don't have to work hard. It's not like I'm pulling myself.
You don't want to start
away.
out there. You don't want to start like, oh, I have to be this person who never judges anyone and that will never work, right? Because you still are not focusing on this thing that actually is the thing that will make all of this feel much better. Yeah. It's kind of hidden. It's in front of our faces, but it's also hidden. These types of things.
Yeah.
But you have to go dig for them and find them someplace.
Well, hopefully it's helping us, and hopefully it's helping you. So thank you for joining, and we will see you here tomorrow.